So with these words, let's take refuge with just this. What is arising right now for you? Sounds. Where's the hearer? See if we can relax the positioning of a hearer. It's just an imagined position. Trying to alter radical presence. Can you say there's a sound there? Can you move a sound? Or is there just hearing? We can't isolate the sound from the hearing of the sound. There's no separate sound. If you can enter right into connection, then stay in connection. By connection, I mean contact, the meeting of the capacity to hear on one side and the sound on the other. The recognition that they're inseparable. Take a few deep breaths. Initially, we can notice that mindfulness feels like a floodgate. Just point your attention at a point at the breath that just arises with the knowledge this is the in breath or this is the out breath. The more we watch it, the more connected we become internally. One of my teachers used to call this watering your garden. Just rest in the knowledge that mindful attention is nourishing. So we're nourishing the peacefulness of the breath. We think we're fighting mind against mind, a distracted mind against a concentrated mind, and they're at war with each other. That's not the path of mindfulness. You can't water a plant 24/7. Other plants want to be watered too. Initially, you might have judgments like you shouldn't be watering the weeds. But the sky doesn't matter. When the skies open up and rain everywhere, they bring moisture to weeds and flowers and trees and all of life. It's the balance that keeps the weeds at bay. It's the sense of goodness, the underlying sense of connection. You might feel like a effervescence, a bubbling. It underlies both in breath and out breath. So we sink in to whatever we notice beneath the surface of the labels, beneath the surface of concept and mind. It's a sensory connection. We're used to taking refuge in concepts. I'm asking you to take refuge in something non-conceptual, something that can only be sensed. And once you sense that layer, there'll be images that will come up in the mind. So there'll be a sense of connection with the left side of this deep connection, or a right side, or an up, or a down. Try and see that even that is a false refuge between my body is more open on the left side or more open on the right side. Not even a war at that level between having and not having. And so we take another deepening step. We try and sense a fullness that's already there, that's underlying even the label of this body has pain here and pleasure there. That isn't the path of samadhi. It's just more mind against mind, getting entangled and pulling it back up to the surface of thinking. There's an in breath and an out breath. Keep trusting the deeper experience. We would call this sinking into oneself, going in, surrendering, trusting the depths. The mind will still notice the grosser layers of an in breath and an out breath. But ultimately, just sink in and trust any sort of connection that connects, any sort of contact point that unites any type of internal strife or identifying with. Any sense of energetic half fullness or fullness. There's no striving, it's just deepening and relaxing. Going to be quiet for a few moments. I want you to really practice trusting, questioning, where you think you need to go from here. Whether what you really need is just already here, step by step. Feeding each deeper layer at a time with your mindful attention, nourishing, drenching yourself, taking a bath, enjoying each deeper layer. we relax into natural samadhi, our tendency is to build ourselves into it. But in so doing, we just fight mind with mind, keep relaxing into sensitivity and a spatial sense of depth and connection. We spatially orient beneath the sensation that's telling us there's separation in the world. We sense into connection. It can translate in the body as sense of dropping. Drop the limbs, drop the contraction in the hands, feet, drop the sense that this is my hand, this is my foot. The sense that I need to hold on to a sense of self that is defined as here and not there. Any sort of spatial clinging just naturally gets dissolved. You might feel the skin tingle. You might feel a sense of pressure, like a balloon, leave the heart or the gut or the hips. You might find a sense of rejuvenation. The first stage of liberation is just noticing there's an internal experience. Mindfulness directed internally. Initially, we're told, well, I'm a white male, I internalize what people see. And so this is a huge cliff to see that this mindfulness has no age, no ethnicity. It's a taking back of our true power. We're not limited. We take the pivot back to true seeing. Vipassana, true seeing. Seeing up close as we are, as the observer, noticing its qualities. It's free of those qualities that are attributed to us. So we notice this distinction between inside and outside. This isn't final liberation, it's a radical shift towards freedom. We tend to cement this idea of a separate inside and outside. A second stage of liberation, again based on a recognition that there's just an identity claiming a position in space. There's no taking up of space within space, separating space. Consciousness, the activity of consciousness does not cut space in two, does not have that power, can only connect. We surrender more and more to connection, it dissolves into the space itself. Begin to see we are capacity. So we orient towards the Buddha's second admonishment or repetition. These are neuronal, physiological stages in awakening that the Buddha is describing. They're not doctrine or teaching, it's the nature of awakening, deep awakening itself. This is where we just have to trust. As we orient towards space, we just notice there's the arising of this and the disappearing of that. Mindfulness edge points towards contact is fluid, flowing, changing. It's just the emergence of this and the disappearance of that. And as space rather than an identity, our keenness, our of impermanence, observation is enhanced 100-fold. And this is a radical cliff, a radical shift in our practice. We begin to trust this eternal, unchanging law of change. We can rest even there in the depths. Keep staying with the perception of impermanence. We repeat the viewing of impermanence, the flow, in this field of sensitivity, the presence, ever-flowing presence. The mind relaxes its attempt to separate and cling. You see, separating the world is part of clinging, imagining that we can alter space and through consciousness. Mind cannot reach outside of itself. It is. What is, it's not separate. But through observation of this changing flow, the mind withdraws even more. So why continue with this charade, this fabrication? We stop seeking refuge on the outside. Stop moving to get somewhere to find refuge. We stop all activity. We enter this last stage of liberation in the Buddha's description of neuronal awakening, physiological awakening. We are the relational, the connection, the intimacy. The first two stages, internal and external, and impermanence, can feel disassociating. The last stage is about connection and intimacy. Feels like moving towards life again, towards humanity, but there's no moving towards. It's just a deeper layer of recognition, of relaxation. So the refrain in the Satipatthana is all about the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, internal, external, impermanence. Could call it isness, the last one, connectionness. Finding the observer, undermining the observer, entering into spaciousness, and then re-entering into the relational, into the Sangha, to connection with all that is. I point you to this because it's a profound teaching. It's an ultimate teaching. This knowledge, you have everything you need for independence in your practice. No need for teachers anymore. And yet we connect into the teachings, part of the relational practice. Buddha is the stage of the necessary identity of the observer, the one that knows. Dharma is the necessary stage of spaciousness of reality itself. Flow of changing experience. And the Sangha is just that there's this. And the herd is just the herd. And the scene is just the scene. This is the radical political solution for the Buddha. Relaxing, deepening, resting in each deeper layer. till we come back to the world and we override it, the sense of connection with a sense of connectedness, sense of the observation in the field, the hearing in the field. Moves every time that there's oneness and connection. Metta, this connection is naturally ongoing. It's not an artificial fabrication, metta, at its deepest layer. Connection, kind of friendliness at contact, is the nature of existence. It's self-operating, why I call it a recognition. So it's non-fabricated. You begin to notice the non-fabricated nature of reality. It begins to meditate and concentrate us. You can practice this all day long. I offer this teaching to you. Invite you to explore this teaching. Hopes that all beings may benefit from these blessings. May they spread, create a world of true safety and true refuge that includes us all. May all beings be well, happy, peaceful.